Michaela Chester here with NCAA Digital. I've got D1 baseball guys here with me today. Kendall Rogers, Aaron Fitt. The best time of the year when I make you two do predictions for the College World Series and the rest of the season. I know you love me for it, but we're going to do it anyways. So let's start off with this. Selections are coming up soon, getting closer to June. What are the biggest storylines heading into selections? What are you most curious for that selection day?
I think the biggest thing for me is we look kind of down the stretch here. Like some of these teams that we expected to have great years, like how will they finish? Will they get back in the postseason discussion? We're talking about Ole Miss preseason top 10, Mississippi State preseason top 10, teams like that. Like, will they even be in the discussion on Selection Monday? As of right now, they would not be in the discussion. So I'm kind of intrigued to see how some of those teams like that. Clemson's another club that started out really red hot this year. Right now, they're way on the outside looking in. And, like, for me, it's like who jockeys for a position to get one of those final at-large bids.
Yeah, and I'm really interested to see how the hosting race shakes out, especially with some of these teams that are ranked really high in what we call the human polls. For instance, the D1 Baseball Top 25, we've got UCLA ranked number 8, Texas Tech ranked number 9. These are two teams that are in the 40s or even into the 50s in the RPI, which usually that's bubble territory just to get an at-large bid, generally speaking. But, is there any chance that these teams can play their way up to get themselves into that hosting conversation? Because they've had that kind of season, especially UCLA sitting at second place in the Pac-12. And so there's some questions like that where maybe the RPI doesn't align perfectly with how good we think some of these teams are and how good some of their seasons have been. And so I'm curious to see how the committee handles those sorts of question marks this year.
Yeah, me too. And now for some predictions, and I'm going to start with the Golden Spikes Award. What do you guys think? I want to hear both of your picks for a player of the year. Aaron, we'll start with you there.
Oh, I get to go first. All right, Ken, I'm going to pick your pocket then. Give me Sonny D, the man from Auburn, Sonny DiChiara. Kendall, you got to find somebody else. This is my guy.
Sorry,
he is just as lovable as it gets. We talked about him I feel like every week on our show. It's just a big, burly first baseman who's got power. And the thing that really strikes me is just how well he controls the strike zone. It's 50 walks against 28 strikeouts. He's second in the country in OPS, just a few points behind Ivan Melendez from Texas. And it's, just incredible the impact that he's had at Auburn, a team that, struggled last year, did not make a regional. And now they're right there in the mix to host with a top 5 RPI. And he's a huge reason for it. So I just think his impact as a transfer from Samford, in addition to just his overall performance across the board, he's been the most valuable guy in the country.
Kendall?
Yeah, I go with Sonny D too. To me, the thing that stands out about him is those 50 walks and that OBP approaching 600. You can have the average, you can have the power numbers and things like that. But to me, those two stats are what really stand out to me. And outside of Sonny D, who for me is my choice, I would keep an eye on Ivan Melendez of Texas. Obviously having a great year, just incredible power this year. And Trey Lipscomb with Tennessee. 18 homers, I think it's 76 RBIs. He's had a phenomenal year for the Vols. So those are two other guys to kind of keep an eye on as we head down the backstretch here as well.
I gave it to Aaron on the first one, so Kendall, you get to pick your freshman of the year first.
Well, I'm going to stick with the Vols theme here. And I just don't think anybody in the country has been as valuable as Chase Burns. If you look before the season, when they lost Blade Tidwell for a while, they kind of had to kind of thrust Chase Burns in that Friday role. And you really never know how those young guys are going to react. And Chase Burns has been phenomenal. He's shown command. He's got an explosive fastball up to 98. He's got a big-time slider. And to me, the most impressive thing is he's never too high or never too low. He's always kind of the same guy every time out. And so I think, to me, he's probably been the most valuable pitcher for Tennessee this year when you kind of go back and look at things.
Aaron?
Well, I'm going to give you a different name for the sake of variety here, Kendall. This is how these shows work. You got to give them a different name. I'm going to go with Tommy White from NC State. Had a great start to the year, hit all those home runs, kind of captivated America's attention.
Yeah.
And then it seemed like he cooled off just a little bit, but then he got hot again, and he started hitting home runs by the bushel in ACC play. Again, fun player. He's kind of like NC State's version of Sonny DiChiara. He's not as big, but it's just a guy with some charisma about him. him. He hits the ball out of the park, middle away, over and over again. You just don't see that kind of rare power for a freshman. And again, he's controlled the zone as well. So had a fantastic year and helped NC State remain in contention after losing, 8 of their 9 position players from a year ago.
All right, Tommy Tanks, I like it. How about a dark horse team in the tournament that we should look out for? Maybe could make a run for Omaha.
I look at a team like Oklahoma. I think when you look at Oklahoma, you look at it specifically a regional and a team that has the pitching to get their regional. You look at Oklahoma with power arms like Cade Horton, Jake Bennett, Chaz Martinez out of the bullpen. They've got some really nice pieces. And offensively, Jimmy Crick's got off to a slow start this year. He's been really good as of late. Peyton Graham's had a terrific year. Double-digit home runs, has been very consistent at the plate. They're good defensively. Kendall Pettis and company. Keep an eye out on Oklahoma. They were almost in our top 25 coming into the season. They're a team I think down the stretch could play really well and could easily win a regional.
All right, Aaron.
I'm going to go with the Campbell Camels. And this is a team that I've been high on since the fall. But, I mean, they kind of got off to a rough start and then really found their stride and have dominated their league. And the thing that really stands out is the pitching. There's just not a lot of teams that have really reliable starting pitching. Thomas Harrington's been one of the best pitchers of the country. I mean, he's got 93 strikeouts, just 12 walks in 65 innings. Those are absurd numbers. With a 1.25 ERA, he's going to be a first-round pick. I mean, it's 4 real pitches. And behind him, you got Cade Kuehler, who's potentially a first-round pick for next year with huge stuff. So you start with a couple of arms like that, and they've got plenty more behind those guys. And one of the best overall players in the country, and Zach Nato at shortstop. I mean, I just think that there's a lot to like about this team. They've got postseason experience on this roster. They've been in regional finals. I'm buying in on the Camels.
All right. Here's the hardest part, and I'm going to have you guys rattle it off pretty quick. Your 8 teams headed to Omaha. Kendall, you ready?
Can I go first? Okay. I've got Tennessee, Miami, Arkansas, Notre Dame, Virginia, Oregon State, Oklahoma State, and Gonzaga. I really like, keep it on Gonzaga. I really like Gonzaga's pitching as long as they can get Will Kempner back. When you look at that pitching staff with Kempner and Hughes kind of leading the way, that's a team that I think is more vulnerable in a regional than they are in a super. I would not want them in a super. So I like the Zags to get to Omaha. That's got to be the first time, right? They get to Omaha?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Wow. All right, Aaron, what do you got?
We got some overlap here. I'm also picking teams that have a lot of starting pitching as the theme that I've talked about. Tennessee, Oklahoma State, which remains my national championship pick. Arkansas has pitching. Miami has a lot of starting pitching. Oregon State, they've just had a great year all around. I'm throwing Florida State in the mix. Can't quit these guys. Really good starting pitching. I think they're going to make a run in the postseason. Love Southern Miss on the mound. Experienced team. I'm going to have them in my 8 for Omaha. And Georgia with Jonathan Cannon leading the way. You got that true ace. A lot of experience on that roster. I'm sticking with the Bulldogs as well.
You kind of got McKella perked up over there.
Aaron always picks my Bulldogs over there.
That's right. I'm a sucker. I'm a sucker for the Bulldogs.
So, Kendall, Aaron picked Oklahoma State for the national title. Who do you got?
Oh boy, do I want to deal with Vol Nation Day on Twitter? You know what? I'll go with Tennessee to buck that trend that we've seen since 2001 with Miami. I'm just going to say Tennessee. I answered this question earlier today, and I just think Tennessee is much better than all the other teams in the top 10 right now. I just think when you look at the starting pitching, the pieces on the back end, I think the biggest thing too with Tennessee is like Ben Joyce now, the fact that they've been able to stretch him out to 4 innings, like that's a game changer if he's able to do that. So, like right now I don't see a team that can beat them in a 3-game series and can beat them in Omaha.
All right. Well, guys, thank you so much for making those predictions. Excited for Omaha, excited for selections. Thanks for breaking it down.
Thank you.
Thanks.